crowning achievement was starting the organics company. She was so far ahead of the curve.
1981, Westport, Connecticut, snow falling outside. Nell Newman is 22 years old, barefoot in the hallway of her childhood home, when she sees the light bleeding out from under her father's study door. Not the harsh overhead bulb, the soft one, the intimate one. And then she hears it, a sigh so deep it sounds like a man drowning. She freezes, peers through the crack, and there he is, Paul Newman, the most beautiful man America ever put on a pedestal, hunched over a stack of paper, writing by hand. Not a script, not a business letter. A love letter. Dear Red, the one who reminded me I was human, not just a symbol. Red, Robert Redford's nickname. The man the world called his best friend. The man her father had just spent 3 weeks filming with in Utah. The man her mother never, ever spoke about without her jaw going tight. Nell's hands start shaking, because the next line, God, the next line reads like a confession torn straight out of a psalm. There was a night you looked at me, just looked, and I felt as if the whole world had forgiven me. She doesn't breathe, she can't, because in that moment every strange, suffocating thing about her childhood suddenly makes sense. The separate bedrooms, the icy silences, the way her mother would flinch if anyone asked, "Are you happy?" The way her father left for weeks at a time and came back smelling like a cologne no one in the house had ever bought. And worst of all, the way her brother Scott died. Scott Newman didn't overdose by accident. He died because he asked the one question this family was built to bury. Dad, do you even love women? It was 1974. A drunk kid at a party sneered at first, "Hey Scott, maybe you should ask your old man whether he likes men or women before you follow in his footsteps." Scott broke the kid's nose, 6 stitches, expelled from school, and Paul didn't show up. He sent a lawyer, he sent a check. No hug, no explanation, just cold, efficient damage control. Scott came home, threw his childhood trophies into the fireplace and screamed, "You didn't protect me. You didn't protect Mom, so who the hell are you?" Silence. 3 years later, Scott was found dead on his apartment floor. Pills scattered. TV still on, ironically playing Paul Newman accepting an award. The coroner called it suicide. Nell called it something else. The cost of living in a house where love was a performance and truth was a felony. In Scott's notebook, the one Nell still keeps like a sacred relic, he'd written in smeared ink, "If he never truly loved Mom, then who am I? A mistake, or the result of a lifelong cover-up." No one ever answered him, not even at his funeral. But here's the thing people don't understand about Joanne Woodward. She knew the whole time. In 2003, when Alzheimer's began eating her memory, when she forgot her daughter's birthday, forgot her Oscar, forgot entire decades, there was one thing she never forgot. Room 1217, Essex House Hotel, New York City. One night, delirious and half asleep in her nursing home bed, Joanne grabbed Nell's hand and whispered, "That was the day he lied. He said he was meeting a director, but I called all night. No one picked up." Then she said it, the thing that made Nell's chest collapse. "Essex House, room 1217. I saw that look in his eyes, and it wasn't for me." Nell had been 17 when she saw her father step out of the elevator at that exact hotel with Robert Redford, laughing, hand on his shoulder. Intimate, easy, like there was nothing to hide. Her mother had remembered the room number, even through dementia, even through 50 years of forced forgiveness. Because some betrayals don't fade, they fossilize. And then Paul Newman died. September 26, 2008. The whole country mourned. CBS replayed Cool Hand Luke. CNN ran tributes. Everyone believed the fairy tale. Loyal husband, proud father, American icon. 3 days later, Nell got the call. The will had been activated. Her father, who'd promised to take care of the family, who'd built Newman's own with them, who'd posed for 1,000 photographs holding Joanne's hand, had erased them all. Every single one. The entire $600 million estate gone. Left to a foundation controlled by Robert Forrester, Paul's CEO, a man Nell barely knew, a man who, within months, fired her from the environmental wing she'd helped build. No reason, no warning. Joanne, battling dementia, got nothing. The children got nothing. And here's where it gets darker. Paul signed that will just 6 weeks before he died, at a time when medical records show he was suffering from memory decline, confusion, and legal judgment impairment. A former assistant later found a handwritten letter Paul had written to Joanne, tucked inside The Prophet, the couple's favorite book. It read, "My dearest Joanne, if I am no longer lucid enough to say this out loud, then read it here. Everything is yours. If something goes wrong, please know I didn't choose it. I love you to the very end." That letter held no legal power, but it proved something the courts refused to acknowledge. Paul Newman's final will wasn't his. It was someone else's endgame. So who was RR? The will mentioned a private fund called the Quiet Legacy, with a beneficiary identified only as RR. Robert Redford, maybe. But here's what we know for sure. In 1982, Paul and Redford took a secret trip to Tuscany. No wives, no assistants, just the two of them, and a villa under tight privacy. When a reporter asked Gore Vidal, another man rumored to have been Paul's lover, if Paul was the greatest love of his life, Gore stared into the camera and said, "We shared nights no one wanted to end. That's all I can say." The studio went silent. No one asked further. In 2025, Nell Newman sat down for her final interview. Her voice cracked when she said, "I never stopped loving my father. No matter what he did, I still loved him. But love doesn't always come with forgiveness, and truth, if left unspoken, turns into an abyss." She paused, then whispered, "I just wish he had the courage to be honest, not with the world, but with his own family. Because that's the real tragedy, isn't it?" Paul Newman spent his whole life hiding, and the people who paid the price weren't the tabloids or the studios. It was Scott who died asking a question no one would answer. It was Joanne who remembered a hotel room number through 50 years of dementia. It was Nell who found a love letter her father never meant her to see. And it was Paul himself, a man so terrified of the truth that he buried it in wills and trips to Italy and letters signed red. The spotlight never turns off for legends, but the lights inside the house, those went out a long time ago.